Hello and welcome to TVP World. My name is Diana Skaya and this is Break the Fake. The Trump-Putin bromance is reaching new heights. In a move that will surely warm the Kremlin's heart, the United States has refused to support a UN resolution marking the third anniversary of Russia's invasion of Ukraine. Now, the resolution, which reaffirms Ukraine's territorial integrity and condemns Moscow's aggression, was apparently just too much for Washington. And just to make sure Kyiv gets the message, Trump's security advisor Mike Waltz kindly suggested that Ukraine should tone down its criticism of Washington. Because in this new world order, the victim must remain silent while the aggressor gets the benefit of diplomacy.
It's just awful to see an American president, it's disgusting to see an American president turn against one of our friends and openly side with a thug like Vladimir Putin. It's shameful to hear the president repeat Putin's propaganda while laying the groundwork for negotiations that favor Russia at Ukraine's expense. The people of Ukraine did not start this war. Vladimir Putin did. Ukrainians have fought and died on the battlefield to defend their home. The suffering and destruction of the Ukrainian country and the Ukrainian people that they have endured is staggering. All because of Vladimir Putin.
Meanwhile, Trump himself is on a roll, calling Zelensky a dictator while remaining suspiciously silent about the man who's been in power for nearly 25 years, imprisoning or poisoning anyone who dares oppose him. But that's the beauty of the Trump-Putin dynamic. One side bombs, annexes, and holds sham elections, while the other pretends both sides are the problem. Polish Prime Minister Donald Tusk is saying that quiet part out loud, forcing Ukraine to surrender isn't just a defeat for Kyiv, it's a surrender of the entire West. But of course, some would rather pretend they don't see it. Ignoring reality has always been an attractive strategy until it blows up in your face. Meanwhile, Moscow is already dusting off its old Soviet-era playbook and dreaming of a new Yalta-style world order. Now, with Trump taking potshots at Zelensky and Washington cozying up to the Kremlin in Riyadh, Moscow's propaganda machine is in high gear. The message? The world is being neatly divided once again, and Ukraine's fate is only the first chapter. Now, if the past is any indicator, the next chapters won't be any more pleasant.
А позвольте здесь уточню. Вот мы сейчас действительно на переломе. Кому-то это напоминает 18-й год, 1918, кому-то 45-й. Но все сходятся, что на наших глазах, как вы сказали, рождается сейчас, вот если не новый мир, то такая новая глобальная поствоенная система. Как именно вы ее видите, Яков Иосифович?
Да, идет пересмотр базы отношений между главными странами. И на этой базе будут выстраиваться новые отношения. Тут происходит два момента. Меняется база этих отношений, а потом на этой базе будет другая динамика, потому что сегодня мир намного более динамичный.
The Kremlin knows how to play this game. First, force Ukraine to surrender under the pretext of peace. Then, take as much territory as it can, destabilizing the rest in the process. And once the West accepts this logic, why stop there? Moldova? The Baltic states? Poland? After all, if forcing a sovereign nation to accept Russian rule is back in fashion, why limit it to just one? A new Iron Curtain? Maybe. The only question is whether the West will fight to prevent it or simply watch it fall, one compromise at a time. Now, from Moscow's point of view, the West isn't a formidable opponent. It's just a room full of people waiting for someone else to turn out the lights. Once again, Russia's favorite court jester, Vladimir Solovyov, is outraged. And no, not about corruption, failing infrastructure, or the fact that the mighty Russian army has been fighting Ukrainian Nazis for 2 years and still hasn't managed to take Kyiv in 3 days. No. He's furious because Putin's regime is too soft. That's right, too soft. A so-called Nazi intelligence officer, a term that in Russia applies to anyone who doesn't pledge eternal loyalty to the Kremlin, has been caught allegedly planning an attack on a Ministry of Defense facility. And what does the weak, dissident Russian justice system do? Give him 6 years in prison. 6 whole years. Solovyov can't believe it. Why wasn't he shot on the spot? Why no life sentence? Is this a punishment or an invitation to commit more crimes, he whines. Of course, Solovyov, a man who shouts about the West's moral decay while vacationing in his Italian villa, which has sadly been confiscated due to sanctions, believes the good old Stalinist methods would solve everything. Gulags, mass executions, purges. Now that's the kind of justice system he dreams of. After all, the Great Terror was a golden era, right?
Полковник спецслужб нацистского государства пойман на подготовке теракта, ему дают 6 лет. Не расстреляли на месте. Не пожизненное заключение. Вы мне просто объясните, чтобы я, может быть, не прав, я, наверное, что-то не понимаю. Это вообще что такое? Как же я понимаю товарища Сталина?
Meanwhile, across the ocean, Donald Trump keeps proving that when it comes to Ukraine, his views align surprisingly well with the Kremlin's. And the former tough-on-Russia president now seems more concerned with criticizing Zelensky than condemning Putin's war crimes. After all, why worry about a dictator jailing, poisoning, and disappearing his opponents when you can just focus on labeling Ukraine's democratically elected leader a dictator instead? And so the absurdity continues. Russian propagandists keep fantasizing about Stalinist purges. Trump maintains his delicate balancing act between Moscow and Kyiv. And Putin? He sits in the Kremlin, watching it all unfold, probably wondering if he should, just for fun, bring back public show trials. Because hey, why not? After all, as Solovyov would say, Comrade Stalin knew best. And just when you think you've heard every piece of nonsense the world has to offer, Russian state television bursts in like a drunken uncle at a family gathering, eager to prove you wrong. This time? No, just a casual claim that Zelensky is running concentration camps in Ukraine and has a personal hobby of executing people. You know, standard evening news in Moscow. But wait, there's more. In the ever-expanding circus of Russian propaganda, a new geopolitical force has emerged. We and the Americans must deal with this together. That's right, folks. After years of calling the United States the empire of lies, suddenly Moscow envisions a new alliance. The message? Putin, hand in hand with Trump, will now show Europe its place.
Коллеги, мы в какой-то части слишком идеализируем возможности американцев в устойчивой системе концлагеря, который сделал Зеленский у себя в стране. Невозможно никому извне вклиниться в вертикаль его командиров до земли. Он расстреляет любого, и делал это уже не раз, которые там будут пытаться саботировать его приказы. Что касается компромата, да, это рабочий механизм в демократическом государстве, когда президенту могут объявить импичмент. Со стороны Зеленского там нет таких людей. Конечно, он и так нелегитимен. Ему эти компроматы ничего не дадут. Они могут его дискредитировать перед его новыми кураторами в виде британцев, европейцев, которые сейчас вместе с демократами ополчились против Трампа и нас. Мы видим эту подготовку, мы видим, что уже на этой неделе идет одно за другим совещание европейцев. 6 миллиардов дадим, войска будем вводить, новый фонд создадим, фонд мира уже не устраивает. Поэтому Зеленский инструмент. И пока этот инструмент будет устраивать кого-то на Западе, они будут давать этому инструменту деньги, закрывая глаза на все его преступления.
It is a fascinating rebrand, really. For years, Russian TV has painted the United States as the great Satan, the puppet master of Ukrainian Nazis, the root of all global evil. But now, America, under the right management, of course, can be a useful partner in teaching those pesky Europeans a lesson. Who knew that a few mean tweets about Zelensky could turn Washington into Moscow's new best friend? And that's all for this edition of Break the Fake here on TVP World. I'm Diana Skaya. Until next time.